Peace, good people. I wanted to talk a little bit today about the lovely sisters, Alycia Baumgarder and Clarissa, the GWOAT Shields, and basically all the chatter and commotion surrounding their possible matchup in the future, or whatever is speculated right now about their beef that they've been sharing with each other back and forth on social media. It's definitely been a noteworthy conversation surrounding these two ladies, and I think it's a dynamic prospect on the table concerning these two women because of course, Clarissa the GWOAT Shields is the queen of this. She's the most coveted, most accomplished female boxer. And Alycia Baumgartner is the undisputed super featherweight champion. And she, in the last, I want to say year or 2 years, has really come up really heavy and made a name and seems to be making a wonderful mark on the sport and building her popularity based on these accomplishments that she's been in line with grabbing hold of. And it's just wonderful to see her rise to some prominence in the sport. So these two ladies have been going a little bit back and forth. And I guess the advent of it comes off of the back of Alycia calling out. She was the initiator in this discussion or even mentioning of the possibility of a bout between them. She's the one that did the calling out of Clarissa Shields recently and said, let's fight. You know what I'm saying? I have no doubt that, my skills and my talent are enough, to meet and compete with the likes of Clarissa Shields. In fact, I guarantee you that I could smoke her. And Clarissa's position was that of, taking that as a sign of kind of disrespect and saying, girl, don't you know who I am? Don't you know I run this and been running this? How dare you speaketh of my nameth type of position. She wasn't having it. She had no sense of flattery about the matter. She felt in no way extolled by the call out. She felt it was basically antics and clout chasing, and basically took it that Alycia is just on the prowl to kind of clout chase and ride the wave off of her. And it's interesting because Alicia's position in response to that was like, nah, son, like we are two great females, in our prime. And why not start some commotion? I think you should be basically more honored that I would be calling you out because I am a real level of competition for you, whether you want to admit to that or not. And secondly, it's going to put our sport on. And thirdly, we're going to make some crazy cake off of this if we were to do this. So why not? You should feel extolled. You should feel complimented by, my calling you out, because as competitors, as apex females in this sport, why wouldn't we meet? Shouldn't we collide? Isn't it about the elite facing the elite? Like, what are we doing if we're not calling out the best and meeting ourselves to, meet the demands of what being a top warrior demands? And that's Alicia's position on it. And I definitely agree. I think it's interesting because, of course, there's a gap between the weight divisions. Clarissa is she fights at 160, 168, somewhere around there. And, undisputed middleweight at 160 for sure. And as aforementioned, Alycia is undisputed at 130. And Alicia's kind of sense of compromise and meeting at the median was to say, okay, well, let's meet at 147. Interestingly enough, Clarissa Shields is no stranger to calling out. So I don't know how she could take offense to Alycia calling her out when Clarissa called out a man. She called out several men, but most notably, she called out Keith Thurman, who is a 147 pounder. So it's kind of interesting that Alycia said, well, let's fight at 147. Because when you think about it, it's like, okay, well, you had all the gall you had the absolute gall and audacity to call out somebody the likes of Keith Thurman's stature. Keith Thurman is no slouch. He only has one loss on his entire professional resume, and that was to Manny Pacquiao, a legend. A few years ago, she called him out like he's a walk in the park. He's not a walk in the park for dudes in his field. You know what I mean? There are a few men who can put that man to bed. And Clarissa had the gall to call this man out and also insist that she would beat him. So it's like, okay, you were willing to meet Keith Thurman in a possible exhibition, because that's exactly what it would be, a charity match. That's what I would consider it to be. At 147, okay, we'll fight Alycia. Alycia at 147 can't be so far-fetched if that's the case. So I don't know, in Clarissa taking offense to the call out from Alycia, she had no problem calling out the likes of a whole man, a grown-ass man, a champion man at that, an elite professional boxer, who is known for his fiery, thunderous, action in the ring. Keith Thurman got hands. I know people try to sleep on him. He's been inactive for some time now or whatever. People speculate that he has sensitivity to the body. Any motherfucking human being walking the planet has sensitivity to the body. That's one. A body shot is no joke. And if you receive a good one, your ass is going down. I don't give a fuck who you are. But, Keith Thurman is definitely an elite. And that's what we know him for, even though he has been inactive and stuff like that. It'll be nice to see him, just a sidebar, to get back in the ring and get the ring rust off of him and stuff like that. But yes, she's no stranger to calling people out, and making her demands and her assertions. So Alycia is following suit and saying, yo, I consider myself cream of the crop. I'm looking at you. There's no denying that you're the face of women's boxing. Let's get it popping. What's good? So I like the dynamic and the back and forth of it. I definitely think it's interesting, and I think that it's definitely going to serve, and it has already been serving for the past 2 weeks, just about, women's boxing as a whole. There's been a lot of talk about it. It's been generating a lot of conversation, a lot of dialogues, a lot of opinions, a lot of new fans who possibly weren't informed about Alycia Baumgarder. You know her now, Clarissa Shields' name is circulating and stuff like that, which is always good for her. And I think that it's serving a much wider dynamic that is great for women's boxing that, previous to this, it's been kind of low, because even though we have some great women contenders in women's boxing, they aren't necessarily people who generate a lot of dialogue. Like loyalists will know somebody like Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor, Carolyn Dubois. Loyalists will know that. You know what I'm saying? Natasha Jonas, another good fighter. Michaela Mayer. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not new to this, you know who those ladies are and stuff like that. But they're not necessarily women that are on the palette of the general public, let's say that. And so this type of generative dialogue is wonderful in bringing people who are not necessarily familiar with women's boxing into the landscape, which is wonderful. So I think it's great. You know what I'm saying? Alycia can move up to 147. It'll be a bit difficult for Clarissa to come down, because I don't think that she's fought at that weight for ages. But it's an interesting landscape happening there. And I'm happy that the conversation is going on. You got people like Shaq talking about and posting about it on his page. Every boxing platform has been generating content surrounding it. So it's definitely something of note. If people don't think it's possible, I've heard some split decisions like, oh, well, we don't think it's possible because the, differentiation in the weight is too great or whatever. But people either way are talking about it, which is wonderful. I think that if she doesn't get the fight with Shields, I would love to see, of course, Alycia Baumgarder versus Amanda Serrano. I think that would be absolutely. I mean, they have to meet eventually. There's no reason why I don't think that fight wouldn't be made. That's a fabulous fight. Amanda Serrano, that's probably those are my top three. Clarissa Shields, Baumgarder, and Serrano are hands down my favorite. I would say after that for me, skill wise and fighting wise that I'm a fan of, I would say, even though she's kind of like just getting a come up, is Caroline Dubois. What? Talk about a lioness. I love her fight style. I think she's is an absolute beast in that ring. Katie Taylor is good too. Of course, her and Amanda Serrano had a fantastic fight at Madison Square Garden where Katie came out victorious. I like Natasha Jonas. Michaela Mary is also a beast. She and Baumgarder have a history. They fought, and Baumgarder wound up taking that victory and becoming undisputed. So yeah, there's the women in the landscape right now are aligned for making some great possible fights. And even if the Baumgarder and Shields fight doesn't happen, there's still some great fights to be made that I'm on the lookout for. And hopefully we'll see those fights generated if this particular one is something that doesn't happen, or possibly maybe something that doesn't happen within this year or something like that. Still some great fights out there, but I'm definitely happy to see the sisters out there making noise, making waves, and stirring the pot. And I think it's wonderful the amount of heart that Baumgarder particularly has. Clarissa is also, she got heart for days and stuff like that. Obviously, it is what it is. She steps with her heart. That's what she does. But Baumgarder initiating this type of call out, I think is fantastic. And I think a lot of boxers, pound for pound boxers right now, just in the sport as a whole, should be taking the lead from Baumgarder to say, yo, what's popping? I'm the best. You think you the best. Let's get it cracking. Let's prove it. I know what I got. A lot of these dudes right now are not even doing that. They're kind of taking the back seat, and I don't necessarily approve of that. They need to take a page out of Baumgarder's book and start calling these people out and start stepping up to the plate. But salute to the sisters, salute to the queens. I love it. Let's keep it going. Keep running it. Keep applying that pressure. 10 toes down. I love it. Can't wait to see it happen, whichever way it goes. I'm excited about what's coming, about the perspective, bouts that are on the way. Let's get it popping, y'all. Peace.